Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
Revolution.
First, what is a revolution?
Revolution is the solution, hey.
The motive of a revolution.
Well, now,
The objective of a revolution.
be televised.
And the result of a revolution. And the methods used in a revolution.
I know you know. Put my gun away. Never gonna put my gun away. Put my gun away. See them all be better run away.
This generation of Americans has already had enough, more than enough, of war and hate and oppression.
Hello, Internet. Hope everybody is having a fantastic Monday. Exciting day for me, and not a very exciting day for Eric Swalwell. Hasn't been a very exciting week for him. The downfall of Eric Swalwell must be studied. This story keeps getting more wild by the hour, it seems. And look, I can't stand Eric Swalwell. I've always thought the guy was a complete scumbag, and I don't think I'm not discrediting any of the allegations, but clearly Democrats and the powers that be were sitting on this information for a very long time. And then when he became no longer useful to the establishment to push whatever agenda it is that they're pushing, they Me Too'd him. And, you know, at first, it looks like he's actually resigning from Congress now. What happened? What did Eric Swalwell do to piss off the establishment that much? This whole thing is wild. So we'll get into it. Yeah, but I got some exciting news personally, guys. It's just I know you guys don't care, but well, some of you guys care. Some of you guys care about my dog. I'm getting Scarlett a sister, and her name is Molly, just like her old sister. I adopted Scarlett when she was a tiny little potato, and I had two senior dogs at the time. They were both about 14 years old. Well, one was 14, one was 13, 15, 13, something like that. And Scarlett was just absolutely in love with my lab Great Dane mix named Molly. And she made it about 2 years after I got Scarlett, and then she had a rapid decline, and she's no longer with us. And then I had a German Shepherd who Scarlett loved her too, but she slept on top of Molly. They were inseparable, and it was pretty freaking adorable. Molly taught her how to be a dog. And when I first got Scarlett, Molly was super excited, just lost her mind. The videos that I still have, I still go back and watch them, and they make me sad. But Molly was so excited because she never got to have puppies, and finally she had a puppy, and they were just inseparable. Well, my friend runs a Great Dane rescue down in Southern California. Not just Great Danes, but she takes in a lot of Danes. And she knew Molly when she was a puppy, and when I lived down there. And she happened to get an all-black Great Dane named Molly. And naturally, she hits me up, and I'm picking her up on Friday. I'm actually kind of nervous because I've never had a full-size Great Dane. Molly was my old Molly, was a lab Great Dane mix. Big dog, but, she was about 85 pounds. This dog is 90 pounds, and she's only 9 months old. But, yeah, so that's exciting. Also, I just got off the phone with Viva Fry, somebody that I've been following for a very long time, been a big fan of them for a long time. And I don't know how this happened, but I'm going on a show on Wednesday. So that's pretty cool too. I literally just talked to him on the phone. So pretty cool. So yeah, I'm having a better day than Eric Swalwell. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked. So Yara, what's going on? Happy to see you. Probably won't have as many people in the chat tonight because I'm not doing it on my normal Sunday episode. So yeah. All right, let's get into the Eric Swalwell stuff. So this first clip is just funny. It's from George Santos, who it's hard not to. George Santos, just a character. You know, the other disgraced was he was a congressman, right? Ended up going to jail and then he got pardoned by Trump, I believe. But he's also hilarious. So George Santos posted this clip of Eric Swalwell and says, "This aged like milk." So this is when Eric Swalwell decided to first run for governor. And he's walking on a pier with his wife. How cute and adorable, right? Well,
Do you ever think I'd run for governor?
Absolutely not.
Did you think I could be governor?
Didn't cross my mind.
Appreciate that confidence.
What has surprised you the most that you're hearing from people?
I would say just how proud everyone is in every part of the state to be Californian. Like almost like you got to be crazy to live anywhere else, but also how scared people are, like really scared.
Yeah, I'm scared.
But what I see across the state is people are optimistic and there's a way for us to get through it.
I think you just got my endorsement.
You ready to do like a public endorsement video?
I don't think you need mine. You have Adam Schiff.
this is so freaking cringe right here.
So what do you think voters should know about me besides what they, only seen on TV?
Tell the voters how great I am.
That you're a really great dad. You're a really good husband. I think the kids and I truly can count on you for anything. And if I gave you the choice, I'm not sure if you would choose to be governor of California or have the 49ers win the Super Bowl.
49ers. Governor. Definitely being governor of California and making a place where when we retire, it's a place where our kids and everyone's kids can afford to live.
You're going to be a great governor.
Right.
Well, George Santos is right. That aged like milk because the disgrace Eric Swalwell, it started with just he's running for governor. Then these stories started trickling out about accusations. It was like a whole bunch of accusations all at once. And at first, he wasn't even going to stop running for governor. Then he decided to drop out. Now he's resigning from Congress, and I don't know what the fall from he was number 2 polling, and he could have very well been the next governor of California, and now his career is over. I mean, I can only imagine what's happening with his personal relationship with his wife and his kids. I mean, the dude's life is completely falling apart. I almost feel bad for him, almost. But I don't feel bad for Eric Swalwell. So here's him groveling about the allegations.
A lot has been said about me today through anonymous allegations. And I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They're absolutely.
All right. So he just looks like a complete. Well, first of all, he looks like a drunk. He's got the puffy face thing going on that he always has. But he looks like an absolute compulsive liar, narcissistic psychopath. Like you don't believe a word he's saying. The rumor mill has been spinning about Eric Swalwell since he's been in Congress, that he's always been a sleazebag, going to these crazy parties, banging Chinese spies. Just continue. Let him talk.
Absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened, and I will fight them with everything that I have.
Then why did you drop out of the race? And why are you resigning from Congress? Why would you just go through with it?
They also come on the eve of an election where I have been the front-runner candidate for governor in California.
Number 2.
I do not suggest to you in any way that I'm perfect or that I'm a saint. I have certainly made mistakes in judgment in my past, but those mistakes are between me and my wife. And to her, I apologize deeply for putting her in this position.
So are the allegations false or are they real? Or are you just saying that you're a man whore? Like what are you saying here? That you just cheated on your wife, but you didn't actually do the R word thing? What's he saying here?
I also apologize to you if in any way you have doubted your support for me. But I think you know who I am. For over 20 years, I have served the public as a city councilman, as a member of Congress, and as a prosecutor who went to court on behalf of victims, particularly on behalf of sexual assault victims. That's who I am and have always been.
Wasn't he a prosecutor for like a week? Hasn't his whole career just been in politics, like fresh out of college? And didn't he work for the Alameda County DA's office? Like, I don't think he has that much of a legal career behind him.
This weekend, I'm going to spend time with my family and friends. And I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support. And I look forward to updating you very soon.
Well, he's updated us because he is resigning. So this news came out. The first time I heard about him possibly resigning was from this video from Steve Hilton last night that popped up.
Hey, Steve, what the hell's going on with Eric Swalwell?
So I just got a message that Eric Swalwell, it's confirmed now that he's going to be dropping out. And you think, yeah, of course he's dropping out. The real question is, why was he ever in? How on earth did he think he could run for governor of California with all this going on? It just shows you that these career politicians have no shame. They have absolutely no respect.
So this is from 2 days ago. So just 2 days ago, he was still in the race. Now he's dropping out of Congress altogether. This is insane. And so Steve talks about how it's insane that he ran in the first place because he has all these skeletons in the closet, like the audacity of him to even do that. I think the system's set up that way. I think all of these scumbags, not saying Steve. I like Steve. I don't know if he has any skeletons in his closet. I like to think that he doesn't. I hope that he doesn't. But, you know, Katie Porter, Gavin Newsom, Tom Steyer, Rob Bonta. I mean, Rob Bonta's got some serious skeletons in his closet, and we've talked about that on the show before. But it's Scott Weiner, obviously. All these different California politicians. Karen Bass used to be a freaking communist, communist agitator for Fidel Castro. I mean, all of these different politicians, it's almost like you can't rise in power unless you are part of the Epstein class. And the Epstein class is a bipartisan class. It's both sides of the aisle. And the whole PSYOP thing that's happened is getting all of society to take the left or the right and be on a team and have us arguing with each other about stupid shit while they're all laughing at us, because it's us, the middle class, the poor people, versus the rich elites and the politicians, the Epstein class, the ones that rise to power because they have like this backroom agreement. Like, I know all your dirt and you know all my dirt, but we're going to keep it a secret as long as we stay in line and push the establishment narrative. You know, the only time you ever see these politicians get together on something, it's raising our taxes, giving themselves a raise, or going to war. This Eric Swalwell thing is just a one-off. I would like, look what they did to Matt Gaetz. And I'm not even saying the Matt Gaetz allegations were true, but it's like anytime someone steps out of line, they go to Me Too them. It's just the whole Epstein blackmail thing. It's like nobody can rise to that level of power organically. They got to have some sort of dirt on them and then get pushed by the establishment because they know they can be controlled. The people that have crazy skeletons in their closets, crazy sexual fetishes or whatever. This is not a one-off situation. Eric Swalwell stepped out of line, or he pissed off the wrong people somehow. I don't know. I want to know what he did behind the scenes to piss everybody off.
For the public, for the voters, they have contempt for the voters. They think they can get away with anything. They're never going to be held accountable. It is just completely unbelievable. And the other thing that's unbelievable is all these people, you know, the unions, the teacher unions, the SEIU, Adam Schiff, Pelosi, all these people that pretend now to be outraged about what Eric Swalwell is alleged to have done. They endorsed him anyway, knowing all that. Everyone's been talking about this for ages, and yet they endorsed him anyway. And now they're trying to distance themselves, but we're not buying it, because we all know that this Democratic Party in California has absolutely, talking about their values, it's ridiculous. All they care about is their power. And they are now collapsing after 16 years of one party rule that's been a total corrupt failure. Now they are collapsing to chaos and sleaze and scandal. And it's just another reason that we are going to kick them out this year.
So that was the first time I heard about Eric Swalwell even dropping out of the race. That was before he even announced it. Well, this just broke from Elex Michelson. Like, some of these things have just broke in the last couple of hours here. So Elex Michelson, he used to be a Bay Area reporter. He's now with CNN, or no, he was an LA reporter, but now he's with CNN. He's probably a lefty, but he's pretty fair and balanced. But he just says Eric Swalwell resigning from Congress. So let's see what Elex has to say here. Elex with the E, not with the A.
Breaking news here at CNN. Representative Eric Swalwell just announced that he is resigning from Congress. That's a day after dropping out of the race for California governor, one of the quickest and most dramatic falls from grace in modern political history. Just about a week ago, he was the frontrunner to lead the fourth largest economy in the world. But then allegations became public in the San Francisco Chronicle and here on CNN of sexual assault. Swalwell denies those allegations, but that didn't stop his supporters from abandoning him en masse, including several of his best friends in Congress. Swalwell was essentially left with no institutional support, and many of his own staffers said that he should step aside. Now he is. Big question now, is he going to face potential legal challenges going forward? And now the race for California governor is upended. His seat in Congress will not be filled for some time. The governor is not allowed to appoint anybody. He could call a special election, but that would not happen till at the earliest September. So a major, major shakeup in California politics that will be felt for some time.
And apparently he's not the only one that's going to be resigning from Congress. There's rumors that there's 2 or 3 other people that are caught up in this same scandal, and they're going to be resigning as well. So here's Eric Swalwell's statement. He says basically the same thing he said in the video. I am deeply sorry to myself, staff, and constituents for the mistakes and judgment I've made in my past. Can you elaborate on what those mistakes were, Eric? I will fight these serious false allegations made against me. However, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes that I did make. What mistakes? What mistakes did you make, Eric? I am aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members. Key phrase there. Expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong. Yeah, there's some video though, Eric. But it's also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Therefore, I plan to resign my seat in Congress. I will work with my staff in the coming days to ensure they are able, in my absence, to serve the needs of the people of the 14th Congressional District. Okay, I need to look up what district that is. Is that the East Bay? Is that the East Bay area? I think it is, but I'm not positive. Mike's Memes, thanks for joking. This only benefits Steyer. You mean Steyer? No, it benefits Matt Mahan as well. And a lot of people are speculating that Matt Mahan's the one behind this. I don't know. We shall see. I'm sure more of this is going to come out. So this is from John Ziegler over on X. He's got a fairly big account over there. So he says the Eric Swalwell grape allegation, one of which the entire scandal that has effectively ended his bid for governor rests, is from someone who is anonymous, never filed a lawsuit, had drunk, grapey sex in 2019 and again in 2024, was so drunk she says, I don't remember anything. So, okay. I mean, this whole believe all women thing, like, I don't know. I don't know if the allegations are true or false. To me, the bigger story is the fact that this whole smear campaign, though the allegations could very well be true. I'm not sticking up for Eric Swalwell in any way. It's just the inorganic nature of this whole thing. It's very fishy. So I have this clip from his lawyer, but it's actually a couple of days old, so I'm not even going to play this clip. Just that's how fast this story is moving. So apparently, according to NBC News, Swalwell pulled an Anthony Weiner and sent an unsolicited Weiner pic to a 24-year-old on Snapchat who is seeking a job on Capitol Hill. Then there's more allegations. Apparently, Eric Swalwell paid illegal Brazilian live-in nanny under the table with campaign funds, complaint alleges. So there's all sorts of different allegations and complaints coming out against him, just like all at once. So this is sort of the video that went viral. And this was released by, who is the pharmaceutical guy that went to jail for upping the price of insulin like 1,000%? Anybody in the chat can let me know. I can't remember his name. He actually released this video, and it's being rumored that this video was released or recorded by an underage female. So here's the quick video. It's only a few seconds long. Here's just Eric Swalwell forcing a kiss on he's a married man. So is this what you're apologizing for, Eric? Is this the infidel? Yeah, Martin Shkreli. Thank you. Yeah, that hilarious scumbag, because the guy is freaking hilarious. He's a scumbag, but he's hilarious. So there's a longer clip of this, and Shkreli said he's going to release more stuff, and he told the Democrats not to screw with him. But this is from a guy named Mike Crispy over on X. He says on the left is so this picture here. So here, I'll pull up the picture in a second here. He says on the left is Ruben Gallego at an event held with Barack Hussein Obama. On the right, a man with an awfully similar profile overlooking Eric Swalwell grapple with a prostitute. Spoiler alert, it's also Ruben. No getting out of this one, pal. Resigned from the Senate. So people are speculating that this other guy in the picture here, that this is Ruben Gallardo, or is that his name? Gallego. He's a congressman out of Arizona, senator out of Arizona. I apologize. So the chips are falling, people. All right. So this just came out right before, this is Fox News reporting on it. This just came out right before the show started. This Anna Paulina Luna. So the video of Eric Swalwell making out with a sex worker on a hotel bed was likely recorded by an underage girl, per Rep Luna. So let's see what she has to say here.
People on the Hill knew about this. Many reporters have come forward, even in talking to me, saying that they had heard stories about this. But I do think that he has serious criminal problems on his hand, and I do think that he might end up in jail, Jesse. And if I could just share with you for a moment, not only did I receive forensic reporting showing that, you know, that infamous video of him in the hotel room was indeed him. It was not AI generated. But I'm also being told that more stuff is going to be dropping in the next 24 hours. And then also potentially the individual that recorded that video in that hotel room, Jesse, was a female and she was underage.
Oh, just so the audience is aware, there's a video that's circulating. Fox hasn't confirmed it yet. It appears to show Swalwell on a bed, maybe another guy making out with a girl. That's it. That's all we know. But if what you're saying is true, and we don't know, but if that's true, that is very, very, very bad news. But back up.
So am I just being a complete contrarian here to think that nobody's doing this out of this is the right thing to do and no one is above the law type thing? I don't think that there's any of that going on here. I think this is simply Swalwell did something to piss off the wrong people and they're releasing all of this information. Am I completely out of line thinking that this isn't because Democrats are good people or these politicians or reporters or everybody, or they're just trying to do justice for these women? Or is it what I think it is, that Eric Swalwell just pissed off the wrong people and now they're going after him? I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I don't know. You guys let me know if I'm completely off base here. So this is David Hansen. He's talking about he brings up some pretty good points talking about the whole Swalwell situation.
The thing about Eric Swalwell, you don't have to oppose him or criticize him because he blows himself up. And it's always a tip-off. When he was yelling about Stormy Daniels and non-disclosure, remember all that? Well, that's what he was doing at the same time. When he was talking about leaking, and he was leaking on the House intelligence, only he was with Fang Fang. he hired, I think, a friend of Fang Fang's on his staff. And then he's completely flat broke. He really is. And he's borrowing out of his 401. And then he's got all of these, I guess they're consensual relationships, but he's married with kids, or at various times of his life, he's with his wife. But he seems to have had sexual relations, allegedly, can't prove it, with staffers, and then he's made them sign non-disclosure. But what an idiot.
This is like, you almost feel bad for him. But I mean, he did this to himself, and he did it on such a public stage. Everybody knew that this guy is completely full of shit. He's a total sleazebag. And I mean, just from a former alcoholic, the guy just looks like he goes and parties like crazy every freaking night. He's got the puffy face, alcoholic face, the same thing that Adam Kinzinger has. I think Adam Kinzinger is probably the exact same way. But this guy just blew up in a week, just from here to the basement floor. Like, what the hell? This is wild.
What does a non-disclosure mean? Non-disclosure means this: give me $20,000 and I'll keep silent, and I'll sign a non-disclosure, and then I'll go to the press and leak out what you did and make another 100,000. And then if you sue me, I'll say it's harassment. So they're worthless. But only Eric Swalwell would think they're valuable. Only Eric Swalwell would think he could have relations with a communist spy. Only Eric Swalwell would find a way to be basically insolvent. You know what I mean? He's kind of I don't know, he's just I don't want to be too cruel, bumbling idiot or incompetent. What is he?
Don't worry. Anything you say will be will be generous.
Yeah, I mean, he's so awkward, and then he's full of hatred and anger, but it's hard to get angry at him because he's just, it's kind of like John Fetterman, but he's a much better person. I know that when everybody was really partisan and Fetterman had the stroke and he debated Oz, I thought it was just a one-sided slaughter on the part of Oz. But there was something about...
Hey, Casey Martin, nice to see you, brother. No, he's resigning from Congress. He just put out a statement. Like, this shit's wild. It is just spiraling.
About Fetterman, I never wrote anything cruel about him. I said he was cognitively challenged, but there was something nice about him. You know what I mean? He wasn't mean at all. He could be sharp. He could bite back if he was attacked. But Swalwell is, I don't know. There's no...
He's right about Fetterman. Like, Fetterman's a rabid Zionist, but like, he is kind of, I don't know. He does seem like a good dude, even though, can you be a good dude if you're a rabid Zionist? But, just saying. I don't know. I like Fetterman. I don't want to, but I do like Fetterman.
This way, there's no chance that people are going to vote for that guy. And they've got a real problem because the other person, Porter, is on tape screaming and yelling, and not just on one or two occasions, 3 or 4, and she's a bully. She's unlikable. She's obnoxious. Forget what her politics are. So those two are running, and the 2 Republicans, even we had the independent Kulati, Elaine. She was wonderful.
Alani Cunnilingus, she was the California deputy governor. And yeah, I'm actually surprised she dropped out of the race. Her polling numbers were just so low. Nobody knew who she was. But I think Matt Mahan is going to skyrocket to the top, personally. I think Porter and Steyer are both trash. Like, Californians, even Democrats, don't like them. Steyer's a billionaire. California Democrats hate billionaires, even though many of them are billionaires. And Katie Porter, I mean, how could anybody like Katie Porter? Just especially with all the allegations from her ex-husband dumping scalding water mashed potatoes on his head.
She's attractive. She's charismatic. She's personable. It'd be nice if she got all the Democratic votes. You know what I mean? And I think she's appealing to them, the sane Democrats, and we know what's going to happen. Either Hilton or Bianco are going to win, I think, and then they're going to immediately recall the governor, and then they're all going to rally around one Democrat. I don't know who that will be because it's kind of a zoo now.
Yeah.
There's no normal, sane Democrat.
No.
I still don't think there's a chance in hell of Bianco and Hilton being number 1 and number 2, and there being 2 Republicans to choose from during the primary. I think Matt Mahan, mayor of San Jose, is going to skyrocket in the polls. He's got all of the big tech lefties behind him. He's going to have shit tons of money behind him, probably as much as Steyer. And just Steyer and Porter are just unlikable. And Becerra is pulling terrible numbers, so he's not going to go anywhere. I really think this is going to be between Matt Mahan and Chad Bianco, or Matt Mahan and Steve Hilton. That's what I think is going to happen. So let's keep going here. Some more Swalwell stuff to color. So let's just talk about like how some of the other people are seeing this. So Cernovich here, he says, this is Mike Cernovich over on Twitter. He says, California is close to having a Republican governor, which, to be honest, I thought could not happen. Democrats had an ace in the hole, sex tapes of Swalwell. Democrats asked him to leave the race. He said no, and now he's getting nuked. Evil, but effective. But why did they want him to leave the race? Is it, I don't know. I'm having trouble getting what happened here. Is it because they knew he had all these skeletons in the closet and they would come out eventually and he would tank his own campaign? So if it would have, so say Swalwell and Bianco would have been the ones that got past the primary and it was them up against each other. Were they sure that this stuff was going to leak after he already won the number 2 nomination, which would essentially ensure a Republican governor? Is that why they're doing this? That kind of makes sense, that they were just certain this information was going to come out. Like it was that out in the open. And if he won and it was him and a Republican to go against, then it would have ensured a Republican victory. I mean, that kind of makes sense why they would have went after him. But it seems like there's something more here. So this is from Jennifer Van Laar. She's a big time reporter for Red State Media. She's Californian. I believe she recently moved to Nevada because she got like chased out of here because of her reporting. She says, you all have figured out that Mahan is behind the Swalwell stuff coming out, right? So she thinks that it's Mahan behind all of this. Porter would have used this before Swalwell qualified for the ballot, but Mahan didn't have that time. And Porter didn't have access to who he believed the grape victim is. Mahan did, not naming her or giving more specific info to protect a victim of sexual assault. So she seems to have some inside information here. So Jennifer Van Laar, follow her over on X, Jen Van Laar. That's her, JenVanLaar. I should follow her back. Yeah, she seems to have some inside info and think that Matt Mahan is behind this. And, it's kind of funny because Mahan has this squeaky clean sort of persona, family man, sort of a dork. But what's funny is after all this info came out, Matt Mahan, his poly market odds went from 6% all the way up to 14% to be the next California governor. And he's in second place to Tom Steyer at 53%. So pretty interesting. And I think as time goes on, I really think you're going to see Matt Mahan skyrocket. But I don't know. He's not well known. He's not like, I'm not saying Karen Bass is good, but everybody in California knows who Karen Bass is. Everybody knew who London Breed is. The big name mayors of towns, not for good reasons either. But Matt Mahan's not really like a well-known mayor. He's the mayor of San Jose, which is one of the biggest cities in California. It's one of the biggest cities in America. And San Jose is doing pretty well, if you ask me. I'm from San Jose. I grew up there, and it's still got homeless problems and everything, but it has been cleaned up quite a bit. I have friends who live near where homeless encampments used to exist, and those encampments don't exist anymore. He's been accused of just pushing them out of San Jose into surrounding towns, but that's a whole different conversation. All right, so I tried to look up some like where everything's polling at now. So you haven't seen any of the the polling numbers haven't changed since all this information came out. Like the most recent polls still showed Eric Swalwell at 13%. And I mean, that was like well behind Steve Hilton. Steve Hilton's polling at 17%. Well, he was before all of this stuff. And Bianca was polling at 12%. So, I mean, but 25% of California voters are still undecided. And a lot of people don't vote in the primaries at all either. So I think the primaries this season you're just going to get the super partisans people that show up. The people that are just sort of like casual voters that only vote in the primary elections, a lot of them aren't going to show up that usually only vote in the general elections. They're not going to show up for the primaries. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think you are going to have, I still think you're going to have a Republican and a Democrat to choose from, whether it's Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco, I don't know. So they just did the California Republican Convention to try and seek a winner of the endorsement. And in order to do that, you have to get 60% of the delegate vote. And neither Chad Bianco or Steve Hilton got 60%. Chad Bianco did get he did win a plurality of the vote, but he didn't reach 60%. So California GOP is not endorsing a candidate. There is like a Republican sect, some sort, I can't remember what they're called, but they did endorse Chad Bianco. But as you guys saw last week, Trump endorsed Steve Hilton. So, and you guys know how I feel about Chad Bianco. I think the guy is a freaking crook, a criminal. So it's not even the knee for BLM thing. It's what he tried to do to Van Miller at that Trump rally and accused Van Miller of being the third would-be Trump assassin. And like, I interviewed Van Miller. You guys should check out that interview I did with him, and it'll completely change your perspective on Chad Bianco. Likely it should. I mean, I didn't detect any bit of dishonesty from Van Miller when I interviewed him. And what Chad Bianco tried to do to him to boost his own political status was just gross. It was freaking disgusting. So I am not a Chad Bianco fan at all. And and like Steve Hilton, I mean, he just, to me, seems yeah, he's British, and yeah, he has some lefty ties, and you know, a lot of people don't trust him. It's hard for me. I don't trust any politician, but a guy that's willing to come on my tiny ass show without me telling him what I'm going to ask him about ahead of time. Like, he just came on the show. He was like, yeah, I'll come on. Just ask me whatever. Like, that's a sort of honesty you don't see from a lot of politicians. A lot of politicians want to stay scripted, know what they're going to be asked. And I asked Chad Bianco to come on here. I asked Matt Mahan to come on here. They wouldn't give me the time of day. So, I mean, I'm just some tiny little YouTube channel, and Steve Hilton took the time out of his super busy schedule just to answer my dumb questions. And again, didn't ask what questions I was going to ask him ahead of time. So I don't know. I'm in the Steve Hilton camp as of right now. So yep, that's where I'm at. All right, let's keep going here. Bunch of other California stuff that I want to get into. Yeah, a whole bunch of California stuff to cover tonight. So we'll start with these fires. Like, what is going on with these freaking fires, you guys, that are just erupting all over the United States? It started out in Ontario, California, it's a tiny town. I got in an argument with somebody about this. They're like, Ontario is really big. No, it has a really small population. Yes, it's very spread out, but it's a small town. Most people haven't even heard of Ontario. It's out in the Inland Empire, in between like Upland and Rancho Cucamonga. I lived there for a year, and yeah, they had this massive warehouse fire, and this video went viral. It was this kid working there, and they sold like toilet paper. Well, I mean, it was a warehouse full of a bunch of toilet paper, and it shows this kid going around and just lighting all these different pallets on fire, and it's an insane video. My dog always lays down right where I can roll over her on accident, and I don't want to do that. Sorry. So let's watch this quick video on what's going on with all these fires, because it seems like it's become some sort of epidemic. So who is this from? All right. So this is from Bill Asaley. They're filing federal charges against this guy, federal and state charges. So let's watch this video. So he posted this himself. That's what's wild about this. So I'm sure everybody saw this.
Should have paid us enough to fucking live. You know, we may not get paid enough to fucking live, but these
Wally World, CC Pino, Northside, nice to see you guys.
bitches dirt cheap. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to fucking live. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. There goes your inventory.
So this dude posted this to his own social media. It's just wild. And here's the aftermath. The whole warehouse is gone. What is this song from? Oh, that's Gangster's Paradise. Look at that. So that's a freeze frame of this massive warehouse. So this is what I'm talking about with Ontario. It's just like all these fields and everything. Like downtown Ontario is like nothing. I used to live there, right by the airport near Vineyard. You got it, Northside. It is Gangster's Paradise. You remember the movie? What was the movie with Michelle Pfeiffer? Fuck. I can't remember that name now. Oh, that's going to bug me. When do you guys put it in the chat? CC Pino. Gangster. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. You guys are all like, Gangster's Paradise. All right. I got it. Great song, by the way. What was the movie, though, with Michelle? Dangerous Minds. I saw that in the movie theaters with my mom when I was a kid. It's an awesome movie. CC Pino, he's high as hell. He has a joint in his hand. Did he? I didn't even notice that. That's funny. So yeah, so that happened. That happened in Ontario. And then, so this is the guy, 29-year-old Shamal Abdukarim. I probably butchered his name. He was arrested after filming. So yeah, it was a 1.2 million square foot paper goods warehouse in Ontario, California. All right, they did a press conference on this. This is okay, so this is the San Bernardino District Attorney Jason Anderson talking with Bill Asaley. So let's watch this quick press conference.
The paper product alone that was inside of the warehouse was worth $500 million. The building itself was worth $150 million. In addition to count one, we filed an additional 6 more counts as it related to each separate fire that was started by the suspect in this particular case.
This morning, we're announcing that we are also filing federal charges against Mr. Abdul Karim with arson, which carries a 5-year mandatory minimum federal prison sentence and is punishable by up to 20 years in prison. According to the federal complaint that we have filed, the defendant on early Tuesday morning filmed himself setting fire to multiple pallets of paper goods inside the Kimberly-Clark warehouse here in Ontario. This company's products include Kleenex and Huggies and are used nationwide, being sold and shipped throughout through interstate commerce, which provides us federal jurisdiction over this case. The defendant repeatedly boasted of his crimes. He posted Instagram videos showing himself lighting the merchandise on fire in the warehouse. He said, quote, "You know, if you're not going to pay us enough to effing live or afford to live, at least pay us enough to not do this." So not only is he now facing state charges, the state will be proceeding first. He's in state custody. He'll be arraigned on his state charges. He now has a federal charge. He has a federal arrest warrant. So when he's done with the state, he'll come to us. And we look forward to ensuring that Mr. Abdul Karim is behind bars for a very long time.
Okay, so there's a lot of mixed opinions about this guy. Some like people on the left are sort of hailing this guy as a hero, as like a martyr of sorts. I'm not saying that's what this guy's doing, but he sort of tries to not justify. Let's just listen to what this guy has to say, because he has sort of a controversial take on this, and I don't necessarily agree with him. But you know, I will say that, like, I'm a libertarian, so I don't believe in I don't even believe in a minimum wage. You know, I don't believe in a state mandated pay scale. I don't believe in any of that stuff. But especially here in California, the cost of living keeps going up and wages do not keep up. So I do agree on that standpoint that companies, especially these companies that are making insane amounts of money, where if you gave everybody like a $20,000 raise per year, you know, people making $50,000, making $70,000, all of a sudden, that's what this guy brings up. It's going to impact their profits like they wouldn't even notice, you know. And I'm not justifying what this guy did at all. You don't light the whole freaking warehouse on fire, but there is like this a problem happening with the cost of living and wages just not keeping up with it at all. Yeah, people are comparing him to Luigi Mangione, who just wrote an open letter to Patrick Bet-David, by the way. That was an interesting video that Pat put out.
You know, if you're not going to pay us enough to live or afford to live, at least pay us enough not to do this. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to... There goes your inventory.
This is a video uploaded by Swalwell Abdul Karim, a 29-year-old resident of Ontario, California, burning down the Kimberly-Clark inventory, which cost $500 million in damage and lost inventory, and at least a couple $100 million more to rebuild it back up. And I find this story extraordinarily fascinating for a number of reasons. One, the point he's making, all you had to do was pay us enough to live. So I looked up what Kimberly-Clark pays its warehouse workers. It's about $23, $24 an hour, about $46,000, $47,000 a year. And then I compared that to what it costs to live in Ontario, California. And for one person, it costs about $67,000 a year to live, just to basically get by.
And that even sounds low, you know, to be able to afford your own place, like a tiny little studio. And, you know, I get it that some jobs are entry-level jobs. You know, kids are still living at home. In your early 20s, you can have roommates, that kind of thing. But you know, people that didn't get any sort of degree, that get warehouse jobs, being able to work your way up. I mean, in California, this is going to sound crazy, but I think if you're a warehouse worker that, you know, can operate the forklift well, you've been doing it a long time, you're really well seasoned at all the different machinery in the warehouse, you're efficient at getting things in and out. I don't see why there's any reason why you can't make $85,000, $90,000, $100,000 as a warehouse worker. I call me crazy, but like that's where the economy is at right now. And for example, where I live, if you're making less than $108,000 a year, you're technically in poverty. So like, I know $100,000 a year sounds like a lot, but in California, it's not at all. I mean, you're kind of barely getting by. That's right around what I make. And yeah, I don't have a lot of spare cash.
So Kimberly-Clark is paying its employees $20,000 less per year and expects them to get by on that salary. And then I thought, well, hold on. Are they making enough money? And I looked up their financial statements, and on $20 billion revenue, they're making about $2.55 billion in profit, in net profit, every single year. So I divided that by the number of employees that Kimberly-Clark has, which was about 38,000, and I thought, okay, if they were to pay their employees an extra $20,000 a year, get them to a place where they could afford to work where they live, get them to $67,000 a year, what would that cost? Well, it would cost them about $750 million. They would still have nearly $2 billion in profits.
And $67,000 a year. So what is that? Like $36.50 an hour? That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. I mean, I know people that at Trader Joe's that make $100,000 a year, you know, and then I'm not throwing shade about somebody that works at Trader Joe's. Like it's hard work. And again, there's no shame in having just a regular career like that. Everybody, like, there used to be a time in America, in California, where you could be a plumber, you could be a tradesman, you could work your way up at a grocery store, and you could be the single sole wage earner in your family and have a wife, 2 kids, a house, and a 2-car garage. Like, we are so far removed from that. And I'm not justifying what this guy did. I'm not trying to, you know, push any sort of communism nonsense or anything, but how far we've gotten away from just being able to live a comfortable life with having a regular career is, like, my generation, the older millennials, young Gen Xers, it's so many of us will never own a home. I've sort of resigned myself to the fact that I'm never going to own a home. And like, my dad was making, you know, inflation adjusted, probably 20% less than I make right now. Well, my mom was working too, but she was like a housekeeper. She didn't make a ton of money at all. It was just like barely additional to what my dad was making. We had a 1,500 square foot house, 4 bedrooms, big backyard, 2-car garage, me and my sister. Like, we're so far away from that now. So again, I'm not justifying what this guy did. I'm not pushing any commie gobbledygook, but we do have a wage disparity problem in America, specifically in California.
Every single year, and have every employee get enough money to live where they work. Right now in the United States, 60% of Americans are not being paid enough just to get by. And there's this mythology that, well, just work harder, Americans are lazy. And this is trash. This is nonsense. They want us to think that billionaires need more tax cuts, otherwise they're not going to work. And for young people or low-income people or poor people, giving them more money is going to make them lazy. It is absolute nonsense. The trickle-down scam is nonsense. Billion-dollar corporations are paying the lowest tax rate of any modern era. Billionaires are paying a lower tax rate than any demographic in America. I'm not endorsing what Jamal Abdul Karim did. I am saying that what his anger and frustration is grounded in reality. Corporations are making billions in profits and not paying their own workers the basic standard they need to live. That is a fact, and denying that will continue to cost corporations even more money as people lash out to the injustice, the economic violence being imposed upon them.
So this guy sounds like a leftist, and I probably disagree with him on a whole bunch of things, but he's making some very valid points here, extremely valid points. And that's why I feel like we need to get past all this partisan bullshit and have an actual conversation, because the points he's making are valid, and there is a wage disparity problem in America. Now, I don't think a billionaire tax is the way to do it, not because I don't want billionaires to pay their fair share, but because the government, California government specifically, has proven that they are not fiscally responsible. And there's tons of fraud, tons of waste, tons of abuse in the way they spend money. So what is the solution, though? I don't think it's a billionaire tax. So not only does the California government not deserve more tax dollars, the billionaire tax isn't going to be just for the billionaires. It's going to trickle down to so trickle down taxes does work. It always ends up hitting the middle class. It's like in California specifically, you either got to be super rich or super poor. The middle class is the one getting hosed. We're the ones getting squeezed for every last penny, and we're the ones that can't get by. We're never going to own a home. I mean, I think a lot of the reason that men or that people aren't having kids anymore is for economic reasons. A lot of people aren't having kids because it's like, yeah, I'm just not, like me, myself, like I had this dream growing up of I'm going to be like, I'm not one to say a woman shouldn't work or anything like that, but I would like to make enough money to where if I wanted to have a wife and kids, she wouldn't have to work. She could if she wanted to, obviously. I'm not going to say you can't, but the point is I want to be able to afford to provide for my whole family. And the fact that I don't, it's sort of, I'm not saying that's the reason I don't have kids and I'm single, but I mean, it does sort of factor into the equation. It is on my mind. Like, I don't make enough money to support a family, and that sucks. And there's a lot of people in that exact same boat. So again, this guy is probably lefty. I probably disagree with him on a whole bunch of things, but he makes some extremely valid arguments here. People don't get paid enough money. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And the middle class is just evaporating. So what do we do? How do we fix it? I don't think a billionaire tax is the solution, but I don't have any genius ideas either. So I don't know. It's a problem. The middle class is getting squeezed. And again, the rich is getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And I don't know how to solve that. I don't know how to fix it. So that's that aspect of this conversation. But then there's the fact that this is like now turning into like a copycat type situation. So just like the next day or maybe 2 days later in Ontario Mills, California, Ontario Mills. Is that a different place from Ontario, California? I thought this was Ontario Mills Mall in Ontario, California. They put Ontario Mills, California, which I think it's just Ontario, California. Anyway, somebody lit True Religion on fire. So this happened. So that's just one. And then over in Bakersfield, another warehouse was lit on fire. So this is out in Bakersfield, not that far from Ontario, probably a hour and a half, 2 hour drive. No, yeah, 2 hours. So pretty anticlimactic video, but you guys get the point. Another warehouse fire in Bakersfield. And then this is out in Florida. So this happened in Miami-Dade County in Florida, I think today.
A warehouse fire happening right now. You can see those large black plumes of smoke billowing out of what we're learning is a warehouse. This is at Global Warehouse Solutions. It is located in the area of Northwest 47th Avenue and 207th Drive. This is in the Miami Gardens area, and we are receiving word that it is not far from the turnpike, but you can see this appears to be just visually a very serious situation right now and potentially a very expansive fire. We can see those red flames in the background being covered by huge black billows of smoke. Information is very limited at this time, but Chopper 4 is giving you just an aerial perspective.
Yeah, so what the heck is happening with all these warehouse fires? Casey Martin, fix it by voting for people who can successfully run a business, I think is what you meant to say, people who understand economics. I get the sentiment with that, but, and I don't mean to sound black-pilled here, but I am. I don't think there's any way. I don't think we're voting our way out of this, folks. Any of it. I'm not even just talking about the wealth disparity part of it. I'm just talking about the rot through the entire political establishment, e.g. Eric Swalwell. Like, I don't think there's a voting our way out of this type thing. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So yeah, there was like 3 other warehouse fires that, you know, it's just insane. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's pretty wild. So yeah, you guys tell me, what are your thoughts? Is this, are we just noticing these warehouse fires? It seems that this is like becoming a trend, and I don't know what the hell is going on with it. So, all right. Time for a bit of a feel-good story. Did you guys ever watch Mr. Robot? I loved that show. It's like one of my favorite shows of all time. Up there with like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones. Awesome show. I love Mr. Robot. Well, there's an episode where they broke into an animal shelter. I think it was an animal shelter, or it might have been like a place where they tested on dogs, tested pharmaceuticals on dogs, and they set all the dogs free, and it was just kind of like a punk rock scene. They just decided to do it on a whim. Well, have you guys been following the situation with the beagles that they test pharmaceutical products on these dogs? You know, there's the famous Dr. Fauci thing where they were like tying down beagles and allowing, like, it was like ants or fruit flies or something like that to essentially like eat their faces while they're alive to see what would happen. It was horrific. It was horrific what Dr. Fauci did to these freaking beagles. You guys know me about dogs. I like dogs more than humans. Well, there's these activists that are going and they're freeing all these dogs. I don't think it's exactly legal what they're doing, but I don't think I exactly care because, I mean, I don't like dogs, especially cute little beagles, being subjected to horrific animal testing. So, yeah, this is going on. This is something farms that these animal activists are going and breaking these dogs out. So activists stormed into Wisconsin Beagle Farm and took 23 dogs, rescuing them.
Schnauzers, we're schnauzers.
So they're all wearing white suits. They're breaking and entering with crowbars. This guy's not very good at it. Alarms going off. Climbing through broken windows now because they couldn't get the door. Say Javekos, what's going on, man? Oh, True Religion was allegedly responsible for the warehouse fires? Okay. Look, they're all beagles. Why beagles? I love beagles. They're freaking hilarious. They howl. They're very vocal. Look at them. So yeah, there's that situation going on. They're rescuing a bunch of beagles. Well, so my favorite person in Hollywood, actor, comedian, generally good dude, Ricky Gervais, backs plan to rescue 2,000 dogs used in lab tests. So this is from The Mirror. Ricky Gervais has thrown his support behind plans by up to 2,000 activists to carry out the largest open rescue in animal welfare history. Campaigners in the U.S. hope to remove 2,000 beagles from Ridgeland Farms and a breeding facility Afterlife star and animal rights activist Ricky, 64, backed the action plan for next Sunday. So Ricky Gervais loves dogs. Like, he's done tons of videos just talking about how much he loves dogs, and he genuinely does. I love Ricky Gervais. He's freaking hysterical too. And him at the Golden Globes, I love Ricky Gervais. He's freaking awesome. So he said, dogs are the most sensitive, loyal, and loving companions any human could ever encounter. 100%. I am appalled that beagles are bred for laboratory experiments. It's time to release the dogs at Ridgeland Farms so they can live out their days surrounded by love and freedom, so the freedom they so desperately need and deserve. Activists claim the dogs are being held at a 2 foot by 4 foot cages for years at a time and are bred for laboratory testing. Organizers say the legal case for rescue has been set by lawyer Wayne Huang, who argues Wisconsin's law allows animals to be treated as unclaimed if their owners are implicated in abuse. So campaigners claim this removes a property owner's legal interest in animals and permits their removal. So they're trying to take a legal approach to this. Ridgeland Farms has faced scrutiny from senior legal figures in recent years. Dane County Circuit Court Judge Rhonda Lanford appointed a special prosecutor to investigate the facility in January of last year. Former federal prosecutor Bonnie Clapper issued a criminal referral in March of 2024 alleging illegal surgeries, including vocal cord mutilation. So that's the other thing. They remove the beagle's vocal cords so they can't scream. Campaigners also cite uncover footage which they claim shows dogs experiencing fear, pain, and psychological distress. They also point to comments from Food and Drug Administration Chief Marty Makary, who said last month 90% of drugs that pass on animal testing do not pass on human testing when it comes to safety and efficacy. So what's even the point? The Ridgeland Farms is licensed by the state for breeding and holds federal licenses for breeding and research. Why beagles? A spokesman for Ridgeland Farms told The Mirror, "We are aware of proposals by animal extremists to return to Ridgeland Farms and commit another mass break-in by outnumbering and overwhelming law enforcement, breaking into our buildings and taking animals involved in veterinary research that benefit our pet animals. If fully successful, these individuals will cause up to $6 million in estimated damage. What is that? How much the dogs are worth to you guys? Because I mean, they broke some windows and doors. They added no credible evidence of animal abuse, cruelty, mistreatment, neglect at Ridgeland Farms has ever been presented or substantiated. Ridgeland Farms operations are subject to strict governmental regulations, and both state and federal regulators, including veterinarians employed by the USDA, have closely inspected Ridgeland Farms facilities for years, yet no court agency or investigator has ever made a finding of animal cruelty. Okay. In fact, the special prosecutor who led the 2025 investigation of our facility has publicly referenced several untrue claims about Ridgeland Farms, and his investigators have also determined the witnesses behind these same claims lacked credibility. Okay, well, I mean, you guys saw the video. Like, what are you guys doing to these dogs? Like, you're breeding dogs to test, to do tests on them, and they all looked terrified in those little cages. And the bottom of the metal cages didn't even have like plastic mats. Like, imagine how painful that would get over time. Their little paws are on like a single teeny little metal bar. Like, they're not ever like, I feel bad if I don't take my dog for a freaking walk every day. I feel bad. These dogs never leave this 2 foot by 4 foot cage. Just that in itself is animal cruelty, if you ask me. And they're beagles. Beagles are like super emotional dogs. They're very affectionate and like they startle easy. They're easy to mess with. There's hilarious videos of beagles like triggering my beagle, like rage baiting my beagle with like snacks, holding him through like a hole and then pulling it away at the last second. They're just funny videos. That's not animal cruelty. That's just funny. You give them the snack eventually. But I'm sorry. I'm siding with the people that are rescuing the beagles in this one. I don't know. You guys tell me. Breaking and entering, property damage, theft. I don't know. Private property. I mean, if somebody stole my dog, I'd be pissed about it. But if somebody stole my dog because I was abusing my dog and running tests on it, they would probably be justified to do so. I don't know. It's a dicey situation there. I'm all about property rights, but not when that property is a dog and you are subjecting a dog to a life in a 2 foot by 4 foot cage without even a bottom on the cage, and their whole life is living in that cage and then getting tested on. You're a lab rat. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm siding with the animal extremists, as they called them there. I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you guys think? Am I off base here? Am I out of line? I don't think I am, but we'll keep going here. So that was my feel good story of the night. If it made you feel good, I don't know if it did. It might have hurt your feelings, but I don't care. It made me feel good. I'm getting another dog. I'm getting another dog, guys. Her name's Molly. She's a great day. And I pick her up on Friday. I'm really excited about it. And I'm also going on Viva Fry on Wednesday. It's a good day. Good day for me. I got off early too. Went on a 5-mile run. Starting to get my training back. Hear that, Sage of Echoes? Sage of Echoes in the comments here on YouTube. He was with me when I rolled my ankle at the last race that I tried to do. Haven't tried to do a race since. Bro, let's do another race. Freaking twist my arm into doing a race. I'll come down to your area. Yeah, let's freaking tell me what 50K that I'm going to do with you. And I'll come down to your area and do it. And I'll start training hard. Hopefully I can stay healthy and not hurt something. All right, Casey Martin. I love dogs. Ricky Gervais is the way to go. Otherwise, anyone with a cause like Greenpeace can perpetuate terrorism in the name of doing good. Yeah, Greenpeace. Greenpeace isn't as bad as PETA. Greenpeace is they are an interesting organization, though. I'm not racing you, Sage of Echoes. You're freaking faster than me. So yeah, I'll just try to freaking hang with you. But let me know. I want to do another race. So all right, let's keep going. I got more California topics that I need to talk about. I'm making pretty good time. Probably go 2 hours tonight. So we got this whole Nick Shirley act. Have you guys heard about this? This shit's pretty wild. So Nick Shirley, I like him. He's doing a good thing, but he's not exposing anything new. So Jennifer Van Laar that I talked about earlier, Katie Grimes with the California Globe. Actually, she might have wrote this. She did. So this is actually the article I have pulled up. This is from Katie Grimes. They have been exposing this fraud stuff for years, like the JIRLA shit, JIRLA, the hospice stuff. They've been talking about this shit for years. It's just Nick Shirley has like a bigger nationwide platform, and I think he's doing a good thing. He's drawing attention to this stuff, but I really wish Nick Shirley would do more to credit like the OG reporters that have been exposing this stuff, like Jennifer Van Laar and Katie Grimes. Like, they've been doing really good work for a long time, and they're sort of not getting the credit that they deserve for their reporting. So, but that's kind of neither here nor there with this, because now California is trying to pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act to criminalize investigative journalism. So that's how the California Globe is reporting on this. I'll go to the full screen because you're not going to read along with me. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm excited about the Great Dane. Okay, so California Democrats advance the Stop Nick Shirley Act to criminalize investigative journalism. This is from Katie Grimes. She says, California Democrats are trying to pass a bill that would criminalize journalists for violating privacy for immigration support service providers. That should say illegal immigration. California Assemblyman Carl DeMaio, a Republican out of San Diego, is slamming state Democrats for voting to advance a controversial new law, Assembly Bill AB 2624 by Assemblywoman Mia Bonta. Bonta, does that sound familiar? Yeah, that's Rob Bonta's wife, the California Attorney General. She's a Democrat out of Oakland. That family's got some corruption stuff allegedly going on too that I won't get into now, but it involves Shang Tao and her former sanitation engineer friend. Anyway, to silence citizen journalists and shield taxpayer-funded organizations from public scrutiny. Assemblyman DeMaio had a contentious exchange with Assemblywoman Bonta, the bill's author, in the Assembly Privacy and Consumer Protection Committee, when he had to press Bonta on the double standard her bill would create, particularly as the California legislature tries to, through legislation, to ban the same protections from law enforcement officers. As the Globe recently reported, California Democrats want to ban ICE officers from future state and local law enforcement jobs and impose selective taxation. In response to the deaths of the ICE protesters Renee Good and Alex Preddy, State Senator Caroline Minijivar, Democrat out of LA, said she is mobilizing a coalition of experts and legislators to fight back against the egregious and murderous overreach of the federal administration and call Goods and Pretty's deaths at the hands of federal ICE agents public executions. Certain political groups will have more protections and privacy than law enforcement, Assemblyman DeMaio said to Bonta. Assemblywoman Bonta retorted that her bill protects people being harassed, doxxed, and subjected to violence, allowing them to have the ability to protect themselves. Shouldn't law enforcement have that right, DeMaio asked? Bonta said she was solely focused on the contents of her bill and whether people working in immigration services will be protected under the law. Why are we treating sworn law enforcement officers differently than these agitators? DeMaio asked Bonta. They are doxxed, harassed, and subjected to threats of violence. It's a good point. Bonta got testy and said her bill doesn't have anything to do with law enforcement. Why would we have double standards? Why do we not offer the same protections for the men and women who put on the uniform every day, who are sometimes subjected to the very gross you are trying to protect? I think she wrote this article really fast because it doesn't read that well. DeMaio asked. Assembly Judiciary Committee explains the bill in recent analysis. In the wake of Trump's administration, okay, I want to read about this new bill. Okay, I'm going to skip that whole paragraph. According to Assemblywoman Bonta, the bill's author, AB 2624 strengthens protections for individuals working in immigration service roles, including nonprofit staff, volunteers, and legal service providers who face, but they're getting taxpayer money. These are non-governmental organizations that are getting tax dollars, who may face risks such as doxing, harassment, or threats due to the nature of their work. By extending safe at-home program protections, the bill allows eligible participants to keep their personal information confidential in public records, helping reduce exposure to harm while supporting the continued delivery of legal, social, and humanitarian services. The proposal promotes safety, privacy, and continuity of essential services, reinforcing public confidence and ensuring that those serving the communities across California carry out their responsibilities effectively and securely. What you're saying is you don't want people going to these hospice centers where there's 97 of them out of one building and all the freaking different units are empty. You don't want independent journalists going and investigating this stuff. That's what you don't want. DeMaio calls AB 2624 the Stop Nick Shirley Act for the chilling effect it will have on free speech and independent investigative journalism. AB 2624 comes as independent journalists Nick Shirley, James O'Keefe, and others have used viral videos to expose fraud and abuse in governmental funded programs using the group footage of firsthand documentation. AB 2624 claims to be about protecting immigration organizations from threats and violence, when in fact the legislation would apply to any left-wing group that claims to provide any service or legal or illegal immigrants. For example, under AB 2624, entitees like Somali Leering Daycare Center would be covered if they operated inside California, DeMaio says. During a recent assembly privacy, I got a phone call. During a recent Assembly Privacy and Consumer Protection Committee hearing, DeMaio directly confronted the bill's author, Mia Bonta, over language that would allow individuals affiliated with certain organizations to demand the removal of video recordings, even if taken in public, and even impose costly financial penalties against those who would publish videos online. So if Nick Shirley took a video of non-existent daycare centers and published it online, the state would be able to fine him. DeMaio warned the bill would be used to block investigative reporting and intimidate journalists, watchdog groups, and members of the public documenting wrongdoing. Rather than addressing DeMaio's concerns, committee chairman Josh Lowenthal chastised Assemblyman DeMaio for questioning the double standard. Here's Assemblyman Carl DeMaio's full statement on AB 2624. So DeMaio says, California Democrats are trying to intimidate citizen watchdog journalists and protect waste and fraud happening in far left-wing NGOs, non-governmental organizations that receive taxpayer funding money. AB 2624 can only be described as the Stop Nick Shirley Act, a bill designed to silence citizen journalists exposing fraud and abuse of taxpayer dollars. Instead of fixing the fraud problems uncovered, Sacramento politicians are trying to shut down the people exposing them. AB 2624 would allow activists and taxpayer-funded organizations to demand the removal of video evidence, even if it captures misconduct in plain view, and threatens journalists with massive financial penalties. That's not about public safety. It's about protecting powerful interests. If this bill becomes law, the message is clear to every journalist in California: expose corruption and you will be punished. AB 2624 is an unconstitutional direct attack on transparency and the First Amendment. It needs to be defeated. So yeah, this sounds freaking dubious. So let's go over to my buddy Max Bonta, Sorry, Max. I didn't mean to call you that. Max Bonilla. He was one of my first guests on the show. He's an awesome kid. He's like in his early 20s, and he's always talking about this stuff. He's really big over on Instagram. So yeah, Max Bonilla sort of breaks this bill down. Let's watch this quick clip from him.
In this building, right behind me, they just passed a bill that would practically outlaw Nick Shirley-style journalism by creating a chilling effect on people like him when they go expose fake hospice and daycare centers that use ghost or just non-existent clients. So here's the reality about this. If Nick Shirley were to go and record an employee or an owner of one of these fake operations under this bill that they just passed, he would be liable for a minimum of $4,000 in fines. Plus, he would face a 4-year injunction where he would not be allowed to record this person, whether it's the owner or an employee who is a fraudster, because they don't want to be included on camera. And then on top of that, the fines could multiply up to 3 times that if he refuses to take down the video. This is his First Amendment right, by the way. This is our First Amendment right to cover these issues, and they want to take that away from us. Now, if they can try to get him on fake doxing charges or fake he threatened somebody charges or fake he enabled a third party to put somebody else's life in danger kind of a thing, well, then he could get criminal charges, right? And a $10,000 fine. So in Gavin Newsom's California, if you attempt to expose a fraudster as a legitimate independent journalist, there is no carve out for you in this kind of a bill. And the reason is because they want to put you in jail. They want to throw you in jail. If they could, they would love to see you in jail. They would love to see you destitute, financially broke, bankrupt, because you're doing the citizens a favor by showing them the fraudulent and unethical places that their money is going. That's the bottom line. So next time you come across a immigrant services center, which is what this bill broadly defines, or if you're doing a video of it, which this bill broadly defines as harassment, you might find yourself in trouble.
So, I mean, yeah, it sounds like they're just trying to shut down prying eyes on fraudulent non-governmental organizations that are, it's the same thing we always talk about. These, it's like the homeless industrial complex stuff where they get taxpayer dollars to fix a problem, but they don't have any incentive to fix that problem because their funding depends on it. So they ask for more money the next year because the problem got worse. And then they fund the campaigns of the politicians that are voting for these programs to be funded initially. So it's just this dubious, fraudulent circle jerk that's going on. So ironically, after Nick Shirley did all his reporting on these hospice centers, oh, look it, Rob Bonta did his own investigation. It's crazy that it didn't happen until Nick Shirley put all these eyes on it. So yeah, CCP, no censorship for full, as Gavin Newsom would say, censorship, full stop. All right, let's listen to what Rob Bonta has to say about these fraudulent hospice centers.
We're here today to announce the results of a massive hospice fraud bust in Los Angeles County, and it's called Operation Skip Trace. Operation Skip Trace uncovered and ended a hospice fraud scheme that defrauded Medi-Cal.
Oh, their investigation uncovered it. It's weird how this investigation, I wonder how long it's been going on. Did it start after Nick Shirley blew the lid off the whole thing?
Of $267 million. So just to be clear, $250 million. Over. Funds that are paid for by California taxpayers, funds that are meant to provide care to Californians in need. It is unacceptable, it is illegal, and we will not stand for it.
He only did this because they got busted. There's no way he would have done this investigation if he hadn't gotten busted on it. So here's Katie Grimes from the California Globe again talking about this. So she says, California AG Rob Bonta didn't need to wait so long to uncover fraud in California. Governor Newsom has been providing fraud since elected. Governor Newsom approved spending $1.5 billion in taxpayer dollars funding on masks from Chinese electric bus company BYD during the COVID flu. BYD had no history of making personal protective equipment, and yet days after the FDA approval, it secured a $1 billion deal to supply masks to California. California State Protocol Foundation, a nonprofit tied to Newsom, which is only 50% rating from the Charity Navigator, handed out cell phones with Newsom's personal number to CEOs in 2024, funded by private donations from businesses he regulates. Meanwhile, Jennifer Sybil Newsom, Gavin's first partner, representation project went delinquent in 2022 for flouting charitable registration rules, yet kept hosting glitzy galas bankrolled by the same corporate cronies. The IRS gutted the decades of underfunding, does nothing. The Newsom behest contribution scam legalized influence peddling that Newsom has mastered. In 2019, he solicited nearly $8 million for his inaugural bash and wildlife relief, much of it from corporations with state businesses. In 2020, he pulled in $26 million for COVID-19 efforts with heavy hitters like Blue Shield, $1 million, and McKinsey and Company $250,000 chipping in, only for McKinsey to later snag a $35 million state contract. So there it is. They fund, things, and then they get these no big contracts on the back end. Jennifer Sybil Newsom solicited state vendors and governor's campaign donors for large gifts to her charity, the Representation Project. There is more, link below. So I don't have time to get into that, but yeah, it's so rampant and far spread that it's like every single initiative or program that the California government gets involved in is just a big fraudulent freaking scam. Allegedly. It's fund this nonprofit that I started, and then you'll get a no bid contract on the back end. All that kind of shit. High speed rail, same freaking thing. These unions is all right. I'll keep going. So, all right. This is from the California Post. LA's top federal prosecutor makes mind-melting claim about the scale of California fraud. Los Angeles top federal prosecutor said that Californians can only imagine the extent of fraud in their state following the announcement of a $270 million Medi-Cal scammers arrest this week. So Bill Saley, first assistant U.S. Attorney General for the Central District of California, didn't hold back while discussing the case during an appearance on Fox News, saying the scheme unfolded during a nearly year-long period when the state took its eye off the ball. So this is another one. This is another just giant scam. Let's see if the video's here. Okay, I guess the video's not here. Okay, so he took $200 million from the state of California's Medi-Cal system in an 11-month period because they suspended their fraud prevention measures that they had on their website, as Ailey said, describing the case of the Orange County's Paul Richard Randall, 66, who admitted to orchestrating a massive billing scam that drained millions from Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal is California's Medicaid. So this guy took advantage of it. 200 million, one guy, 11 months. So just to calculate how much fraud you think there actually is in the state of California. Yeah, it's like that's just one thing. 200 million, one guy in 11 months from California's Medi-Cal bullshit. So this is also from the California Post. They're like a offshoot of the New York Post. So you guys remember the California $20 minimum wage? I mean, we talked about this earlier. I don't believe in a minimum wage, but I do believe there is massive wealth disparity and people aren't getting paid what they should be getting paid. CCPino, nothing is going to happen. Nothing going to change. That's the spirit. I know. I don't, there's no voting our way out of this, guys. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to fix this either. So $20 minimum wage thing. A major Carl's Jr. franchise operator in California has filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, pointing to the state's $20 minimum wage for fast food workers as a key driver of its financial troubles. Now, I think this $20 minimum wage thing is garbage, but I mean, really, Carl's Jr.? Because I mean, the $20 minimum wage thing didn't even affect In-N-Out Burger. They already paid their employees starting at like $23 an hour. So, I mean, is it really that, or are you guys just market saturated and your food sucks? Friendly Franchisees Corporation, though its subsidiary SunGer, said in a court filing that the wage increase implemented in 2024 material increased operating expenses, according to CEO and founder Harshad Darad, and reported by Restaurant Dive. Okay. If you say so. Like, you can go to In-N-Out Burger and get 2 double doubles for about $10. It's less than $10. 2 double doubles. You go to Carl's Jr. and get 2 Western bacon cheeseburgers. Don't ask me how I know this. I'm sorry. Don't judge me. 2 Western bacon cheeseburgers from Carl's Jr. is $17 and change. So I don't know. And the food's not nearly as good. So I don't know. This seems more like a business model problem to me. The company operates 59 Carl's Jr. locations across the state, including 52 in Southern California and 7 in Northern California. Despite generating what is described as substantial revenue, the business has struggled to stay profitable. In the first 3 months of the year, SunGer reported $19.9 million in net sales, averaging between $6 million and $7 million per month. Even so, it recorded a $2 million net loss during that period, citing high ongoing operational costs. Durod also attributed declining performance to reduced marketing effectiveness and lack of innovation at the franchisor level. Well, yeah, I mean, your food sucks. You don't have cool commercials like you used to, like hot chicks in bikinis eating burgers. Sorry, don't judge my misogyny there. They were cool commercials. They were funny. And I mean, yeah, they used to have 2 Western bacon cheeseburgers for $5. Sorry, I liked Carl's Jr. I did. Don't judge me. He noted that increased competition in the quick service restaurant sector and exclusive turnover at the franchise created additional operating challenges. Financial strain has led to missed payments on rent, royalties, and other obligations tied to the franchise agreements. I mean, maybe your business model just sucks. Maybe you're like, go into an In-N-Out Burger. Like anybody go into an In-N-Out Burger and the next day go into a Carl's Jr. and just like the assembly line process that they got going at the In-N-Out Burger. Everybody's in a proper uniform. People actually seem to enjoy their jobs when you go into one of these places. Like maybe you guys just aren't running the business well. Like the $20 minimum wage thing is stupid. Don't get me started on it. And it is impacting businesses, but this kind of seems like you're just running Carl's Jr. shittily. If like, that's what it seems like to me. As a result, the company is now in default at several locations, putting those arrangements at risk of termination and threatening its ability to continue operating those restaurants. To maintain operations during the bankruptcy process, Sunger is seeking to use cash collateral to fund essential expenses, including payroll for approximately 1,000 employees, inventory purchases, rent, insurance, and other contractual obligations. Why don't you guys like try turning over a new leaf and rebrand like Burger King did? Maybe, you know, don't use shitty meat. Don't never freeze your meat like In-N-Out Burger does. Like try to run your business more like In-N-Out Burger. I don't know. So, okay. That was just an interesting story to me. All right. The paying homeless people for signatures situation continues. This is from JJ Smith. He's the one that originally broke this situation in San Francisco. He walked around a corner, I believe in the Tenderloin, saw a long line of people and they were standing there and he starts asking them like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, oh, they're paying us to sign this document. He walks up to the front of the table. He's like, oh, what are you guys doing? It's like, oh, $5 to sign these papers. And so not only were they paying people to sign ballot initiatives, getting signatures for ballot initiatives, they were having these people sign with other people's names. They had lists of registered voters. They're paying people to come up, homeless people, giving them $5 and saying, you're going to sign as Susan McAllister. And that's how you get a ballot initiative on the ballot. Well, what's funny is that I thought this was for the wealth tax, the billionaire tax that they're trying to get passed. It was actually against it. So this actually looks like it was people on the right potentially doing this. So I thought for sure this was people on the left doing this, but I don't know. I'm sure it's rampant across the board. But Dan Noyes from ABC 7 came across something by happenstance. And yeah, we'll watch this quick clip.
I can see those petitions right there on the
So
streets.
what? They right there. They mine.
They're yours?
Yes.
Okay. Are you paying people? Are you paying people?
I ain't paying nobody.
State investigators want to.
So that's Dan Noyes. I like Dan Noyes. He got his ass beat by another homeless person in San Francisco a few years back for doing similar shit, reporting, and somebody got mad and beat him up.
Look at this video you're watching of the ABC 7 Eyewitness News I-Team Dan Noyes confronting a couple in the Tenderloin. Dan was there as they allegedly paid the homeless to sign other people's names on petitions.
Pretty quick reflexes there, Dan.
The security of our election process, certainly a very sensitive topic right now.
Yeah, Dan joins us right now with a story from the I-Team. Dan, explain this.
Well, Dan and JR, I was in the Tenderloin last Friday on a different story. Looked up and saw that car with petitions spread over the hood. I had to find out why.
I can touch I want to touch.
This guy broke out his martial arts skills after I asked about the petition spread across the hood and dashboard of his car. I'm with ABC7. I'm looking at the petitions.
They right there. What's going on?
That's all I'm doing. I'm looking at the petitions.
What you looking at them for? You illegally looking at them, dog.
It's illegal?
Yeah,
Why is it
illegally.
illegal?
You violate my personal property, my
Oh.
privacy rights,
If
brother.
you can see this,
You violate my privacy rights. Stay away from my car.
if you can see
You
this on the
violate
street,
my privacy rights.
if you can see this on the street,
If you can see what on the street.
I can see those petitions right there on the
So
streets.
what? They right there. They mine.
They're yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you paying people? Are you paying people?
I ain't paying nobody.
I've had difficulty identifying the gentleman and woman with a young child, but I saw them give money to homeless people who signed petitions at their car earlier in the day.
Now, the question is, so it's two different illegal things that you're doing. You can't pay people to sign ballot initiatives or petitions. You can't do that. In addition to not being able to do that, you certainly can't have lists of registered voters and then telling people to sign as if they are that registered voter. It's insane what's happening.
Tenderloin Cafe owner and neighborhood advocate J.J. Smith put on his
JJ is the man.
video glasses to document what they're doing.
You get $5 for doing it? Mm-hmm. Which one? Can you write Neely? Can I write?
So same guy, I'm not paying nobody. JJ asked him, "Can I get $5 for doing it?" And the guy says, "Can you? Can you write neatly?"
Write neatly, yeah. Do hers. Do hers?
The couple offered $5 for signing 10 petitions.
It's right here. O-F-H-U-A.
Come back. Come back.
So there it is, right there. She's giving him someone else's name again. Like, this shit is rampant right now. What the hell is going on? I want to know what this petition was for.
But they instructed Smith to sign someone else's name.
That's not my name, though. Oh, no, I can't do it with somebody else's name. I'm sorry.
Don't be like that's not illegal. That's not right.
Smith tells me he has seen different groups over the past few weeks offering cash for phony signatures on petitions. He sees it as taking advantage of the homeless.
Then the people who they're giving the $5 to, they're giving them $5 to go to buy them some drugs with. They're preying on the homeless side here in Jordan to the people.
The petitions I saw on that dashboard come from Building a Better California, an effort that would require government audits of proposed taxes and could block the billionaire's tax. Building a Better California is funded by Google co-founder Sergey Brin, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, venture capitalist John Doerr, and Stripe co-founder Patrick Collison, among others.
Okay, so I said left, right. This isn't a left, right thing. Sergey Brin is clearly on the left, but it's going against this billionaire tax thing is what they're gathering signatures for.
Others. Their spokesperson, Molly Whedon, said, "Our campaign has a strict zero-tolerance policy against any form of fraudulent activity." She said they've contacted law enforcement and will take action against the petition circulator once they identify him, preventing those petitions with phony names from being submitted.
I'm saying you don't have a right to copy me. Period.
Are you paying people to sign those petitions?
Anybody to do anything? Do you see anybody around me?
The man was not happy about my questions or about having his picture taken.
You cannot copy. Matter of fact, I don't care. Do what you got to do.
No.
You can't copy me, bro.
At that point, we walked away and the couple left in their car shortly after.
I caught some of the names being signed by the homeless that day. I spoke with one guy from Google who was very surprised. He now lives in New York.
How interesting. So yeah, that's still happening. Wild. I wonder if Shirley Weber will investigate this. Okay, let's keep going. So this is from Amy Reichert. She says California State Senator Scott Weiner stood there fidgeting, playing with his mouth, while 23-year-old gay man testified he was pushed into medical transition as a child and is now living with permanent damage, including that he has never had an orgasm and may never experience one. Then Weiner voted yes on SB 934, going after therapists, including Christians, who help kids gender dysphoria accept their biological reality. So this is, you guys, I'm sure you know, Senator Scott Weiner out of San Francisco, who's running for Nancy Pelosi's former seat in Congress. And yeah, he's a psychopath. He wants to he wants to trans your kids. Like that's really the soup and nuts of it. No pun intended there. But this is somebody telling his story, you know, much like I'm blanking on her name right now. Plenty of kids that were talked into, you know, having mastectomies when they're kids because they're told that they're in the wrong body. You know, tons of these situations have happened. And I mean, there's going to be a reckoning for all of this stuff. But here's a guy giving his testimony about how he was talked into transitioning when he was a kid, and now he regrets it. And this is a gay guy from San Francisco. So this is, you know, Scott Weiner's constituency here. And look at how Scott Weiner is sitting there. Like, look what he's doing with his beard and his fingers. He is the creepiest guy on earth. Why is he like this?
When I was young, I was a feminine child, and I discovered trans influencers online. They said, change your body and your life gets better. Don't, and it gets worse. Or as my doctors told my mom, I would commit suicide. The medical and mental health providers didn't bother to ask why I felt the way I did. They poisoned my body with blockers and hormones, arresting my puberty and messing with my development. The result, I'm a 23-year-old gay man who's never had an orgasm and may never experience one.
Just look at what Scott Weiner is doing. Look how nervous he looks. And actually, I don't even think he's nervous. I think he's mad that this guy is exposing his nonsense. Scott, with the garbage that Scott Weiner is pushing. You know, they even say things to parents like, would you rather have a they say stuff like, would you rather have a trans daughter or a dead son? They'll say that shit like that to parents to manipulate them into letting them go through these gender transition surgeries, and it's sick.
Let that sink in. I was rendered anorgasmic because once you say you could be trans, that's it. Full stop. No exploration as to why is allowed, even if you are a struggling kid. The former president of WPATH, Dr. Marcy Bowers, a California surgeon who had performed the surgery for Jazz Jennings at 17, admitted on video that puberty blockers followed by cross-sex hormones results in no orgasms and stunted genitals. SB 934 guarantees that more people will end up like me, the walking but wounded. I could have been spared all of this if any of my therapists would have explored why I felt dysphoric, but they never did. They only led me to hate my body more. The Supreme Court just ruled in a rare bipartisan decision that laws like this are unconstitutional viewpoint discrimination. This bill is an attempted workaround that will be used to silence therapists who could have helped me avoid the irreversible harms to my body and the loss of my sexual function, as is the same for many others.
After this testimony, Scott Weiner is going to go home and abuse the children he has hidden in his basement, allegedly.
So today I ask you to extend some empathy to survivors like me and vote no for this bill. Thank you. Right.
Yeah. So I made the point of, if they've got this much dirt on Eric Swalwell, imagine the dirt that they have on Scott Weiner. But this guy plays ball. Scott Weiner plays ball. He does what the Democrat establishment wants him to do. So yeah, Casey Martin, he's in the lead, or oh no, CC Pino, you said yeah, he's in the lead. How is that possible? Because he's got the entire Democratic establishment behind him, and it's San Francisco. San Francisco is insanely liberal, not even liberal, insanely progressive, like radical progressive. They're out of their mind, and Scott Weiner is their ringleader. All right, let's keep going here. So I talked about this last episode, so I won't go too much into detail about it, but that 60 Minutes report said, so officials say that they now believe the California high-speed rail line linking LA and San Francisco could ultimately cost around $126 billion. So this was something that California voters voted on back in 2008? And we were originally sold this as an $11 billion project that would be done by, I think 2020 was when it was supposed to be done. How are people not in prison for this? Like, this is the ultimate bait and switch. 126 billion. It was originally supposed to cost 11 billion, and it should have been done already. And they're only going to do a section between Merced and Bakersfield. So I can't even, I'm not even going to talk about this because I just get way too triggered about it. Well, Elon Musk chimed in and he says the Boring Company could build a Hyperloop tunnel from downtown San Francisco to downtown LA for 5% of this cost. And it would be a technological marvel exceeding any speed rail on Earth. So he's talking about keeping the whole thing underground. But who would want to do that? You're stuck in a tube the whole time. But point is, he could do it for 5% of the cost, which is around the original figure Californians were sold, 11 billion. Yeah. If you gave away, this guy Hans Manch says, if you gave away 126 billion to subsidize free flights between LA and San Francisco at current demand levels, you could fund roughly 150 to 200 years of travel before that money runs out. So, this high-speed rail scam just freaking kills me. It triggers me every time. So, all right, you know what? This will probably be the last story I talk about for the evening, because I got a whole nother block of stuff pulled up, and then it's probably like another hour of me rambling on about nonsense. All right, it's from Colin Rugg. Did you guys hear about this shit that went on at Sam Altman's house? So Colin Rugg says FBI agents have just raided the home belonging to the suspect accused of throwing a Molotov cocktail at OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's home. The suspect is reportedly a 21-year-old Daniel Moreno Gama, who was driven by strong anti-AI views. Moreno Gama was carrying a manifesto when he was arrested in San Francisco that included a list of other AI executives and investors along with their names and addresses, according to Fox. This is like a serious terrorist attack. Some Louis Mangione stuff. This guy was super anti-AI. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of AI, but I mean, really? You're going to throw a Molotov cocktail at Sam Altman's house? Let's go over to Fox News here.
Hi, Harris. Well, Fox News exclusively here right now as FBI agents literally just swarmed the home of that 20-year-old suspect accused of trying to kill the CEO of OpenAI by throwing a Molotov cocktail at his house. Now, we have the Harris County Sheriff's Office here, and again, the FBI. I want to say over a dozen federal agents and law enforcement officers. You could see his garage is open here. Now, sources tell me the suspect was driven by strong anti-AI views, and he was arrested in San Francisco carrying a document that he wrote attacking AI. That document is a 3-part series and includes a list of names and addresses of other AI CEOs and investors. Now, investigators have identified him as 20-year-old Daniel Moreno Gama, who we have a picture, a surveillance image here sent to me by one of my sources. He's accused of traveling from his home here in Texas, again, where we're standing outside of now, to San Francisco to carry out this attack. Police say early Friday morning, he threw a Molotov cocktail.
It looks like a young kid. He came all the way from Texas. That's wild. So I have a bad feeling all of this type of stuff is going to escalate. You got this is like an attack, a kid with a manifesto who wants to go after all these AI CEOs. And you've got all these warehouse fires happening. And, the guy's saying all you had to do was pay us enough to live. Like the gap between the ultra rich, the Epstein class, and people a lot younger than me, the Gen Zers that are seeing no hope of ever owning a home, the incel class, the kids that can't get a date, can't get laid because, now you got online dating where like young 20 somethings they don't just have the guys in their neighborhood to choose from. They can choose from, the guy that'll fly them out to another state to go to dinner. And, like there's this like feeling of hopelessness amongst the younger generations for ever having a family, ever owning a home, being able to just get by. And I feel like these types of acts of terrorism, because that's what they are are only going to grow. And obviously I'm not justifying any of these acts of terrorism, but it's because like the hope of building a better life through meritocracy, just working hard and, you know, doing what you're told you're supposed to do, like go to college and get a degree. And, you know, and then you get out of college and you've got a useless degree, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and you end up working at Starbucks, you know, and you can't get a girl and you're angry and you see how everything's not just handed, but how, and I don't want to say easy the rich have it either, but like how the system is rigged, how there's like two different sets of rules for the uber wealthy, the elite, the Epstein class, and then the rest of us that still got to pay our taxes to, you know, pedophiles that want to start wars in other nations to fund the military industrial complex. It's just, I feel like a lot of this stuff is only going to get worse, and I don't know how to fix it. So yeah, I didn't mean to end the show on that donor note. Casey Martin, kind of the plot of Terminator. Yeah, but I think Skynet is actually Palantir, and Palantir and Anduril, that's Palmer Luckey's company, have sort of partnered. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that, because that really is like, that is Skynet. Palantir, this company that creates lists or targets, and Anduril, the company that creates autonomous like drones and rockets. Yeah, what could go wrong? I don't know. What could possibly go wrong with that? All right, folks. I think that is all I got for tonight. Thank you guys for being lively in the chat tonight. Casey Martin over on Rumble, CC Pino over on YouTube, Sage of Echoes over on YouTube, Northside on Rumble. CC Pino, you were on X too. I guess you went over to YouTube. Thank you. Appreciate it. What else we got here? Wally World, you're the man. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Danger wasn't in here tonight. Yara, thank you for hanging out. And Mike's Memes. So appreciate all you guys for being here. That's all I got on the menu for tonight. But you know how we do it. Before we get out of here, we got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. This is the sequel to that book, Chuck Norris Cannot Be Stopped, courtesy of Danger, who is not in the chat tonight. He normally is, but he is either quiet or not in the chat. So Chuck Norris joke of the evening last week was a spicy one. You know the rules. I open the book. My eyes go to a joke and I read it. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not. Chuck Norris, joke of the evening. Danny Bodonts. You know what? I'm going to start over. I don't like that joke. I don't like a name that I can't pronounce. So Chuck Norris, joke of the evening. MacGyver used a paperclip, balloon, and a pencil to make a building explode. Chuck Norris used his feet. And on that note, stay CaliBased. I'll see you guys probably. Watch Viva Fry on Wednesday at noon. I'll be on with Viva, so I'll probably do another episode soon. So thanks again for everybody hanging out, and I will see you soon. Have a good evening, everybody.